Okay, we'll be going through Shadowmoon Barrowgrounds 23, which is probably known as one of the most free keys currently in the game. We'll go through it at 1.5 times speed. Never mind, not too sure my internet is keeping up with me. Okay, there's two different mobs in the first pull. The reason we're doing the first pull is because otherwise we're getting too little percent enough to play some unnecessary packs. We just play it and then we can go. No, I'll cover that later. The reanimated ritual bones, that's one thing, which is a fucking shadow slash dealing magic damage. Hurts as hell. You want to make sure you're somewhat on full health when you take one, so try to stun them, reduce mitigation, whatnot, to stay alive. Kick the shadow bolts and kick the heals on the other mob. You can reflect the shadow bolts, you cannot reflect the void slash, but you can spell block it, spell reflect it, and any other mitigation. You can also outrange it by just kiting. Nothing too major. Finish the pack. If you have a rogue in the group, you can shroud the void spawn, which we're doing, and then we're running left side. If you are too quick here, or if you skip the very first pack, there is a void spawn that is rotating between these 4 pillars, which is why we're going left and not right. Apart from that, it's somewhat the same pack, but the void spawn positioning is random. These mobs are kind of whatever. The loyalist gets a buff which increases movement speed by 100% and attack speed by 100%, I think, or was it haste? Doesn't matter, doesn't do much. My healer is going to pull the spiders because I am strong against the mini mobs. Sorry. The defiled spirits TP around, they jump on a player and they do an AoE. Do not stand in that. It fucking hurts, man. It fucking hurts. Can be stunned though, so if you accidentally charge one, make sure to stun it before you get hit or move out of it. Just killing the pack, moving downstairs. These are not doing much. Quite free mobs in general. We will lust the boss here, just because it's a 23. Want to make sure to kill the ad. These more spiders. Whatever. The next pack is disgusting. Reflect and kick the shadow bolt and make sure to at least kick the heal. There is 3 of the reanimated ritual bones here and they fucking hurt. Try to stun them. Use spell block to mitigate shit. If you have spell block up, you can see it barely deals damage, man. I'm pressing spell block now, I think. Now we're getting a void slash. And it's how much? Sorry. It was 400k there, unmitigated. And with spell block, it's 100-ish. Oh yeah, spell block, fucking huge, man. Don't have spell block if you hate playing it, don't want to play it, or you've used it already. Just kite them. Pick the Shadowcaster. It's also got way less HP. You can kill it, and then you can kite everything else. Don't matter. Not hard mobs, just don't be too greedy and you'll make it out alive. And next up is first boss, which is basically a healer check and a DPS check. Now, it's actually not too, this boss has things that can fuck up anyone, right? You can see on my plate here now that he's got 3 stacks of some kind of weapon buff. You can spell reflect that buff. It's a lot of damage. Try to time it. This is a massive AoE that is doing damage to everyone. And daggerfall. Do not stand in daggers. They hurt. These runes seem to be whatever and do not matter when you run through them. Kill the ad. If you do not kill the ad, boss gets a 20% increased damage buff. Also, the ad, every single ad counts as 1% can see when we kill that, we're at 23.67 now. We kill that, we're at 24.67 now. When the boss TPs to the middle and it goes dark, you want to move to a rune that lights up. You can be multiple people on one rune, don't matter. Switch to defensive stance during this just to mitigate some damage. And it is pretty hard to time when to actually reflect the auto attack, but try to do so. And I think personally, when it's just gained 3 stacks is the best time to do it. Then you'll at least get 1 reflect in. And obviously this is another position to use spell block on. Kill that, make sure to focus it. Do not kill it, you will wipe eventually, unless you're doing a very low key or have a godlike healer or something. But it stacks up indefinitely. There is no reason to not kill that, just do it. Also, if you do not kill that, the boss heals and gets the damage buff. That is this boss TLDR. Just gonna jump through the rest of it. Here we had a vortex that is outside of the boss area, dragging it back, and the ad just starts running somewhere else. So I actually shat my pants thinking we're gonna deplete this 23 SPG due to that, but boss is almost dead and I've got my rally left, which is gonna help on the next AoE. And technically you could abuse it to increase damage done and get a massive spell effect in, I assume, but fuck that. So gonna skip past the rest of this boss. Next up is these mobs. They are doing... There's 2 different mobs here. One caster and one melee guy. The melee guys are being controlled by the casters. The melee guys can start fixating on someone else, which actually might end up one-shotting them. The casters are doing one thing: as long as you are not stopping the initial channel, this channel, they're not gonna do anything else. But this channel increases damage done and health of the mobs that are affected by 100%. The other channel, whatever name it is dealing a lot of damage. It's fine on you. You can reflect or deflect it, not sure, doesn't matter, just use it when it's cast on you. Here is another place where mass interrupt is very valuable. You do want to stop them at some point just to get through the pack faster as well, is my opinion, but this is going quite messy, so we're lacking damage and lacking kicks on this pool. Usually you would bump through this pack quite easily. However, it's a rather messy pack in general. Doesn't have to be. You can save it for forever. The channels as well, but I prefer kicking them at some point. Not insta, but at some point. Gonna finish up this pull, rest the Demon Hunter, and then we're pulling the next set of mob, which is called whatever it is. Gonna skip forward 10 seconds for resting. So they're called Shadowmoon Exhumer. They are doing 2 things: Shadow Bolt, and they summon spirits. Void Bolts, sorry. These spirits do one thing called Death Blast. Make sure to interrupt it, it's a one shot. You can reflect it, you can also reflect the Void Blasts. And then we can move on. Try to look out for whenever one person is targeted by 2 Void Blasts on high keys, it's going to one-shot them. Not one-shot them, but actually 2 Void Blasts is going to kill them. So try to look out for that. And the ads are spawning where the runes on the ground is, so you can see next here, you can see those 2 platforms. that is where they spawn. The platforms despawn when the mobs spawn. And in case this exhumer is stacked up with the other exhumer, it's just going to spawn 2 ads most of the time, at least. Here, after these are dead, you can avoid spawning. You can avoid walking on these platforms by walking to the right side. I'm being retarded having normal come for a second there, but if you walk on the right side, as you can see, nobody else pulled them. I triggered the rune. Go right side and then back into the left, but I'm pulling it. Just kick it and pull it on top of a boss. It is really whatever as long as you kick it. This boss has turned quite deadly. The frontal deals damage to anyone standing behind you. Is a frontal. Very valuable to have spell block here as well. So I use spell block. I'm still almost dying. Proc BSV because I didn't think I would be in that bad shape. Should have used spell effect as well and impending victory after the first tick. It's doing planar shift now, which is going to spawn this big black circle on him. Deals damage to anyone standing in it, but as a tank you can stand in it without any issue, at least on fortified weeks. During soul steal you have to kill your soul to take it back. Deals damage, don't know what actually happens if it times out, but you should not have an issue to kill it. When you take it you get a damage buff. I think it's for 50% damage, not 100% sure actually. Now it's just tank and spank for now. Then it's also doing one more thing, which is called Void Vortex, I think, which is no Void Devastation. And this should be spawning random shit around the room. Don't stand in this, I think. I'm not sure how bad it is, but just don't. A neat little trick on this boss is to spawn. Whenever you play the first pack after this, you are going to summon one of these runes, whether you step on it or not. But when the boss dies, the ad despawns. You could also reflect that if you wanted to, but I'm choosing to just kick it and run in. Just pad damage, doesn't mean anything. Same kind of ads, but an exhumer in this pack. The reason we're not pulling the other exhumer is because we get percentage from the ad on the first boss, so we can skip it. Camo streaming, he is sadly not. Again, this is whatever. Hey mobs, you know what to do. Now some new ones are occurring. There's a big spider. You want to make sure to actually always kick that cast he does. Nice, no. Always something new, huh? This is a perfect place to pad, by the way. The spider does a AoE poison on the entire party, which ticks for a fuck ton of damage. The plague spit can be reflected. It's really not a big deal. Just kick the spider and you should be fine. Try to reflect the plague spit for damage. Stop it if it's a double cast on a DPS, or even stop it otherwise as well. And be stunned. And as I am given a perfect example of right now, is that it is perfect ads to pad on, get some increased damage. So I will be doing about 300 DPS on this pack. 300k, sorry. I'm having massive drop for this, so I can do both, but I am communicating with Camo and he's taking one target and I'm taking the other one. And you can see my damage bottom left. I also used a AoE pop, which means it's just padding. Then I chain the double spiders to the worm, and someone else pulls the bats, which is almost forcing us to wipe. Be careful to not affect this worm with sand dunes, since you cannot move it out of it. but you are quite safe. You have to be very, very close to affected, I believe. The worm does a frontal and a fetid spit. This is horrible. Three casts are going through because they're not stacked in melee. We're having them in Sanguine, so it's, you know, it's kind of no good. Killing the worm to begin with, I'm using anything I can to stay alive, and I'm stunning, but I stunned late, so it was a wasted one, I think. Another worm. It's really whatever. Just finish these off to not get Sanguine, otherwise we would chain already. Just killing this down. You were able to skip these, but I don't think you are anymore. On this boss, I strongly recommend to bait on the right side, because when the ads spawn, this is a free zone where you will not get hit by the frontals. And during inhale, you want to stand in this puddle because it keeps you rooted to the ground, otherwise you get sucked into the boss and you end up in the water. If you end up in the water, there's a puddle which you can go to. Yep, jump back up. Frontal from boss and the two ads that spawn. We're ignoring the ads currently, which is deals a bit of damage when you do so, but it is faster. And I'm not entirely sure how this actually works, if you do want to keep aggro on them or not, or if you just don't care. But this is just rinse, repeat. Boss is gonna go down and spawn somewhere else. Inhale again. Just keep on trying to bait the puddles in melee, otherwise you're gonna have a lot of downtime from your melee DPS. You can see Camu is mauling already. One bait goes wrong and he starts opening his mouth, huh? No repeat, no, we timed it. It's just rinse and repeat, kill the boss eventually. Gonna skip past it now, no reason to keep the video long. Gonna go back a bit though, to about here. These spiders, same thing. Kick both, plague bats is whatever, but you can always try to mass interrupt them or kick them. Gonna kill them, and then we've got two big void spawns. Doing two things. One, AoE burst damage, use void pulse, but as you can see, you can LOS behind here. Moving out, then moving back in to lose the void pulse, taking 0 damage. They also do void eruptions, which is spawning a puddle beneath your feet. You can actually stay for way longer than I am currently, because they're both casting at the same time and you'll have time to get another one on you before the first one detonates. Good morning, CK. We lasted this to stay safe, because they do hurt on fortified. And we're focusing one down. Thank you, CK, for the 3-month time sub. Appreciate it, man.
Less than 3.
But this is an insane amount of damage occurring. So eventually, pushing as high as possible, you would have to start losing them. Would be an issue before a lot of other things on fortified. Last boss is doing 3 things. Spawns a wave of ads, where you should kill one ad and then you make a free space to run through. He puts a beam, which you can see now in the back, on someone, which you want baited away from the group. It deals a lot of fucking damage. Deals a lot of damage. The way we're doing this on fortified, he also does a frontal. Don't stand in it, and do not bait it towards your ranged. Be kind to them. Try to bait it away. The way we're doing this now is that we're just cleaving off of boss. On fortified weeks, it should be more than fine. You can also just run through this, but I feel like that's even a damage loss, because you have to run through and wait for the boss to come to you. Now you can just have almost full uptime of damage on boss by cleaving it down. And it's also side funnel, right, from having render more targets and other things. Just rinse, repeat. It is a pretty easy boss in the end, as long as someone baits the puddles. It's actually doing one more thing, but I'm not sure what that is. Huh. I don't know what that is. Oh, never mind. He's just doing these 2 things. So Malevolence is the frontal. It also reduces the damage you deal by 50% if you get struck by it. Don't get hit. There's really nothing too special in this dungeon that you have to care about. Like special classes or anything. Maybe one range class for sure, I guess. Could be the healer though. So, as long as it's not a paladin.